Ashante. How is everybody? Hope you're doing well. I've had a really nice little day off. Got a good run in. I went on a nice walk. It was very magical. I actually, oh my gosh, you guys, I had just been thinking recently about the fact that like the restaurant I work at has locally cultivated oyster mushrooms, but I have a suspicion that they're like hydroponic because they just don't feel very like, I don't know, wild, rich, organic. I don't know, they're lacking something in the texture and in the color and in the look of them. And I was walking through the forest. I noticed a broken tree. It caught my eye. And then I noticed that it had fallen across a creek. And I noticed there were mushrooms and they were oysters and they were of different varieties of colors, but they were some of the most beautiful, gorgeous, exquisite, wild mushrooms I've ever found. And I should have stayed longer to take pictures, but I didn't have a good bag. So I was like balanced on another fallen tree I had like walked out on, and I had this handful of mushrooms that I didn't have anywhere to put them, and I was going to wrap them up in my flannel. So I didn't take pictures of the beautiful blooming clusters, but I'm going to go back tomorrow, hopefully early in the day, and grab some photos and maybe get some more. I didn't want to take a lot of them. I wanted to bring them home first and cook them and then maybe come back the next day, leave them for other people if they found them. Or they're so beautiful that it makes me think that somebody might have plugged the tree. And this is why I think that. Because today on my jog, I was jogging home and I looked out on the road and there was like this piece of trash, but it was like this plastic thing, you know, like when people like when you get the thing of bubbles that you can blow bubbles, and when you open it up there's the little stick with the shape that like you dip it in the soapy water, you blow it, and that's what makes the bubbles. It was kind of like a random piece of plastic that was like similar in vein to like something like that, but it wasn't that. It was just, it looked like that. It was a piece of plastic. And the shape of it looked like a plug, but it also looked like a mushroom. And so for some reason I just looked at it and my mind was like mushroom plug. I was like, oh, plugging mushrooms in a log. I wonder if someone's plugged mushrooms into a log. Plugged mushrooms. And I almost like had this premonition. And so I didn't want to take all of the mushrooms just in case someone had intentionally cultivated them there, but it is a public forest and a park, and I don't know. I just thought maybe the fairies had left them there for me because I'd been wanting to manifest some delicious wild oyster mushrooms, and these are the most beautiful. Oh my God. So I'm going to go in tomorrow to the forest, hopefully in the morning if I get to, and take some pictures of them and maybe share them on tomorrow night's video. Just lovely. Okay, so we're here for our weekly romance oracle message, oracle and tarot. And so the first card up is passion. Allow your heart and soul to sing with joy. Sometimes if we have been through it, or if we've been single for a while, it can feel scary to kind of let ourselves open up and get excited about things and hope for things. And the thing is, though, it's most important that our heart continues to stay alight with desire and passion and excitement and longing for life, not in a painful way, but, you know, enough to draw it to you. If you kind of get complacent and just like, oh, it is what it is, you know, maybe the chips will fall into place eventually, like, there's no magnetism. It's not really sending out any kind of like powerful signal or any kind of magnetism to the universe to draw that in. So it might feel scary and almost irresponsible to let your heart just sort of start getting excited for no reason, right? Like maybe it feels illogical, but it's going to draw in what you want more of. So anything that you feel passionately about, whether it's about mushrooms or arts and crafts or cooking or learning or your spiritual devotions, whatever it is, if it's a person or a project or a cause, let your heart really come to life with all the passion, because passion and love and joy and appreciation, those are all really powerful vibrations. They're very powerful frequencies, and it just draws more and more of the cosmic universal force of blessing towards you. It's the spirit of God. It's called the Shekhinah. And it's the feminine aspect of God, the creator. And so that spirit, when that surrounds us, we are shrouded in blessing and love and abundance and goodness and fulfillment and peace and well-being. But when that spirit is separate from us, we are more exposed to chaos and judgment. And so what builds that connection with that spirit is bearing affinity with that spirit. And that is to be light and joyous and have passion and devotion and a burning heart and willing hands, right? So let your heart feel how it wants to feel. Don't try to temper it or control it. Past life relationship. You have known each other before. So, we do have many incarnations in our progression as souls. And so we have these key players that we have these soul contracts with that we decide before we come to Earth. And we even have these groups of souls that we interact with and we have ongoing experiences with in lifetime after lifetime. So there might be a key relationship coming up for you or coming back around, or, we're in Mercury retrograde. So it could be literally in this timeline, a person from your past, maybe distant, maybe recent, maybe medium, but something from the past is coming back around. There's something about it that's woven into your story for some reason. There's something for you to learn there. So another, it's be open to what the universe is bringing you to observe and learn from and pay attention to. It's what's the lesson there? How is this meant to grow you as a soul or challenge you to grow as a soul? How is this reflecting back to you, yourself? And what are you learning from that? What are you gaining from that? And how are you applying it to your transformation? All right. How's that making you a better version of yourself? All right. So yes, there might be a familiar soul that is coming into your experience to play out something that is going to help you learn an important lesson. Or maybe you're both learning important lessons within your interaction, whether that be friction or goodness or harmony or both, right? I like the way that Judaism approaches couplehood, because it's not like this, one person's got the power up here and the other person's down here. It's they encourage someone to find an equally yoked adversary, a worthy contender that's going to be, a nurturing, positive person for the other, but also someone that can challenge the person or be able to bring out, different aspects of that person, challenge their point of view even, in some cases. But we don't want to be in a relationship that's just antagonizing all the time either. It's there's an 80-20 kind of rule, that, you can say, okay, is it mostly positive growth and goodness with this person with some friction that serves as positive pressure towards evolution? Or is this like a completely toxic situation where it's borderline abusive and it's just negative and this person is weaponizing, just the right therapy speak and spiritual concepts to justify having this constant turmoil but no growth from that, right? So, okay, what do we have next? Codependency. Okay, this is definitely something that needs to be healed, and we go through different aspects of healing this layer by layer, when we are in relationships, when we are confronted with our codependent tendencies. And then also we go through different layers of healing when we are not within these intimate relationships and we're more on our own, figuring it out and learning to be independent. But then in order to embody that independence truly, it's like we have to stand on our own 2 feet in solitude for a moment and find comfort there and release and acceptance and find our independence. But then at some point it plateaus and we don't have anything providing that friction, providing that need to sacrifice and compromise and share and learn and be more understanding and refine our emotional intelligence and ability to communicate and have relationship, right? So if we're all by ourselves for too long, we become rigid and we begin to stagnate and we get comfortable in our comfort zone, hiding out in safety, become a shut-in, a hermit. And so we have to then go outside of our shell and be in a new lesson, in a new chapter. And that is when we learn interdependence, when we learn how to gradually allow someone to earn their way into our life and integrate them gradually, where we are whole on our own and that person is too. And alone we could get by and survive, but together we become more, we enhance each other, right? So that's the ideal situation. And so interdependence is when you can balance allowing a person to be, in this intimate relationship with you where you support one another, you value one another, you lean on one another, you do have needs, you do need one another, but ultimately you're not needy of one another. You can fill your own tank and you know who you are, you can stand on your own 2 feet, you have your own identity in your own life, but also this person is in it with you and you're in it together. But you're not completely like in a codependent relationship where you can't make any decisions on your own. You can't survive on your own. You need to hide in someone else and you lose yourself in the other person. So it's like we're healing that. We're past that. We have learned a level of comfort and accepting and even embracing our solitude and independence. Now I am dangerously on the verge of being the person who likes the solitude and independence a little too much, right? So again, creator, I'm on the verge of getting rigid, better send somebody in a romantic way. I have to learn to, compromise. So we learn at some point how to integrate a person into our life into a healthy way. And that way we can begin the lessons of embodiment of interdependence. All right, what is this card? Ooh, very soon. Okay, you guys. So the more we sort of are walking into this thing self-aware and knowing, okay, these are my weak spots. This is where my shadow comes up. I know where I'm at with all these things. I'm very familiar with them and I know what they look like. I've done this again and again and again and I've practiced and I'm ready. And now I feel like I've healed enough to be able to let someone in, but also be able to walk away if it's not the right thing. I think that's when you're in a good place where you're not so needy of a relationship that if you do get to know someone, you're not just making it work after that. You can, with like discernment, say like, okay, this person is compatible. I think we can keep going, or this person's not really ultimately going to be compatible, and you can walk away. When you have the ability and the power to walk away at any point that you decide that's better for you and in your highest good, that's when you've healed from codependency. It's when we can't walk away, when we can't set those boundaries, when we can't pace ourselves, when we can't go slow, when we can't take it, consciously each step. That's when we're still in that codependency, and it kind of controls us. We don't control it. So I think that we're at a point now where we've come to a level of healing and independence, and now it's very safe for us to kind of enter into a new chapter of love and have a chance to have enough self-awareness this time to go at it with a new probability of success, right? When you set yourself up for success, we've set ourselves up for success. So we have a good chance now of being able to work with the tools and resources that we have earned and created and made, and then also continue to improve upon those. It's always, we can always continually improve on how well we communicate and how well we have relationships, how healthy we are within them, how much emotional intelligence we have to give someone else, freedom and safety to be who they truly are, and safe to be vulnerable, and still feel, a little bit of excitement and edge and, all of those things too. So, okay. So passion, our clarification card is dreams coming true. Woo, 9 of Cups. We've got the whole world in our hands. Everything is coming together, and we are co-creating a new reality with spirit. And so, when we kind of imagine and visualize our life coming together, and when we pray in faith that the thing has already happened, a lot of times we talk about getting really excited about that thing, but actually sometimes it's better to almost be so comfortable that you're almost bored with the thing when you imagine it. That way it feels like it's part of your life. Like it's already a done deal, and it's been part of your reality for so long that it's not even a novelty or fresh and exciting and new anymore. It's like we're comfortable. These shoes are broken in loafers, the good old armchair, right? So feeling like this is so like your destiny is already cut out for you. And so that takes away any worry or any anxiety around like urgency or timelines or wanting to be controlling about it or neurotic about it. It's like that helps us surrender and know, because we're training our nervous system to be comfortable once that new level comes. Right. We were talking about this at work the other day. We had gotten finished early one night, and I came home and I said, it sucks because we got out early the other night, but when I came home, my nervous system was just so used to having the timeline that it's on that it just wasted that extra time in miscellaneous ways. But, we have to train our nervous system to be ready for a new level. If we start making more money, or we get a bonus, or we get a boon, what do most people do? They squander it, they spend it, they splurge, right? Because their nervous system isn't capable of having their bank account be bigger than a certain number. So we have to train ourselves to do that too. We have to train ourselves for when good things come. This is safe. We can keep this. We can hold on to this. We can maintain and sustain this. It's supposed to be this way. And we can keep growing, and things can keep improving, and it can keep getting better from here. And we're not gonna, constantly look over our shoulder for something to be wrong or the rug to be pulled out. Okay, past life relationship. Ooh, that was very, very, aggressive and confident flow. Okay, this is the wheel card. Jupiter, our destiny is taking shape here. The wheels of destiny are cranking and turning, and this is our card with past life relationship. So there's something about some plot point in our life is going to happen soon. Some chapter is going to start, and this is going to be like a predestined kind of situation. And the thing is, how I understand our free will within the bounds of destiny is that it's almost like a script that gets written, but it's like an outline. And so it's sort of like Curb Your Enthusiasm, if you ever saw that show. And it's like the actors in that show, they play themselves, and each episode has an outline probably of like where they need to get to and what scenes there are and where they are and what the main situation is. But ultimately how the characters interact in the scene and how they navigate the situations is improvised. They make it up on the fly. So too with life. It's like there are these, it's like there's an outline and there's like kind of a loose draft of an outline of a script. There are certain plot points that are already planned ahead of time, right? Locations, people, maybe the core key points. But how we navigate those situations and how we navigate and interact with the people that are coming in and out of our life, like that is our free will. That's what we have control over. We only have control over everything that's happening inside of this little flesh suit, right? And not even on a physical level, only in an ethereal level. We can only control our own thoughts, our own feelings, our own consciousness, and then, well, we can control our actions, right? But we can't have any control over our actual body itself, like the functionality of it. We don't control any of that. We can have a positive effect on it, or at least try to. But even still, if something's meant to be, it's meant to be. So we do our best. We make our best effort. We value and we respect our life and what we're given, and our gifts and our talents and our dreams and our the calling of our heart and soul. But ultimately, we give it all we've got, and then we have to surrender to allow the chips to fall where they may, where the Creator wills it to be so. Right? So something is happening major very soon. And so, I think, it's like we keep getting cards about how it's safe to love, open yourself up, give it a chance, let your guard down, be real, let your, funness shine, let your heart, open up and come alive, reanimate. All right, let's see about codependency. Oh, feeling alone. Yes. So, we are all on the spectrum of codependency. We're human beings. We need one another. We're not islands. We're not completely independent. And so the thing about it is that we have to just develop, we can heal our tendencies to be codependent so that we fall more in a balanced, virtuous place on that spectrum. But we have to know our weak spots, and if we're in a strong place or, a vulnerable place to kind of fall off the wagon, so to speak, where the codependency is. And so feeling alone, that's not a super, it's like everybody feels alone at some point, and we can all feel lonely, and that is undeniable, and we have to be honest and real about that, and it's part of the human condition. Christ felt alone. He felt very alone at many times. So this isn't something to necessarily shy away from as if it's like some kind of negative, shameful thing that we must avoid, right? But I think that we need to, any season of life, any mystical experience of emotional, sort of archetypal moments of our life, I think we have to navigate them with self-awareness and consciousness, right? So when we are feeling alone, that is, maybe a good time to reflect and look inward and say, okay, what am I needing? What do I want? What do I need? How do I integrate this into my life? Where do I need to turn to my source, Creator, to fill this need? What am I letting go and letting slip that's causing me to feel so isolated and so alone, right? What can I integrate to help that along? At the same time, if we are feeling like a deep sense of neediness and emptiness and fragmentedness and brokenness, and we are in a reactive state and we're reaching and we're like, oh, I need somebody to give me attention. I need somebody to give me validation. I need to have a hit of this high. I need this cortisol really quick, or what is it? It's not oxytocin. Is it oxytocin? Where we need the chemical. Right? I need the dopamine. I need the dopamine. I need the dopamine to feel validated, right? When we're in that place and we're trying to get energy from a person, from a source, then that is like energy vampiring, and it's repellent to people because it's too needy. It's like there's a really fine line, as a spiritual person, to have a strong desire for something and be real and vulnerable and open enough to acknowledge our human needs, but also to not be needy, right? I have needs. I know how to get those needs met, but I don't necessarily need to take from someone else to get those needs met, right? That's healthy. It's not needy, but you acknowledge and honor your needs, but you're not needy and taking from another person. Does that make sense? Now, when we are in a needy place and we go out looking to connect, then we might find a person to connect with, but they're not going to be a good vibration. They're going to be the kind of person that's looking for someone who's needy, because it's going to be a two-way codependency, right? Because the energy vampire is going to take the energy, and the energy needer, the attention needer, is going to give their energy to this person to maintain the connection, right? That's at risk. Or attracting a narcissistic, people. So when we go out with that needy energy, or just look at someone looking to, kind of use you for a good time, and they have no intention to take it further, and then you end up feeling lonelier, right? So we need to feel in a whole place before we go out and interact, right? And if you are feeling like that deep sense of panicked loneliness and neediness, then that's not a good time to send that text, right? Even you can justify it in your mind and say oh, I'm not being, I'm just throwing it out there, I'm just saying hi, you're looking for that hit of energy and that attention. It's not you're not from a whole place looking to genuinely connect with a person, and have that be an equal exchange where you don't have any expectations or need, or it's just whatever, no agenda behind it. You're pure of intention. Whereas when you are in this place, it's not pure of intention. Even though you might be a nice person, a good person, not with no intention to hurt another person, you still have an agenda in your intentions. Does that make sense? So they're not pure. Your intention is not clear, pure, unsullied with pulp. There's pulp in your intention. So being aware, navigating that with self-awareness, that when you feel whole and you feel joyful and you feel confident and good, that's the time to go put yourself out there and meet people and talk to people, and maybe send that flirty text, when you're take it or leave it, whatever happens. But if you are neurotic, vulnerable, downtrodden, empty tank, not a good time to reach out to connect. So, because you're gonna attract a lot better when you are in that high place of feeling like $1 million. Okay, very soon. Ooh, teach. It's the learning experience. This is the Unity card. This is also the Hierophant card. So, establishment, right? Organizations of establishment centered around spiritual leadership and interrelational growth and learning, right? Teaching others and also being taught by another. This can be represented by the Pope or like the Hierophant, like the high priest, to establish like a long held and deeply rooted establishment like the church or traditions, institutions even. But yes, very soon it's like something that has the capacity to be long lasting and like established, and something that's going to teach you and grow you a lot, grow your own spiritual authority and sovereignty, but also help maybe grow with another, because this isn't like learning does not happen like in a solo situation, right? Learning requires others and other participants, whether you're learning from a teacher or you're learning from a source, and then that knowledge in you is like spilled out, and we can't help but share that knowledge and experience with others and that wisdom with others, right? So we need others with us to learn and to teach and to be taught from, right? And what were we saying earlier? That, you know, when we are growing and learning and healing, we go through a phase where the growth happens when we're solo and we're alone, but then we go to the next phase when we're, you know, at risk of being stagnant there and plateauing. We have to learn with other people. We have to learn through our relationships. So I think we're at the beginning of a new chapter, so it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds and what shakes out. All right, that is all for tonight. I will see y'all tomorrow for our weekend reflection message. Until then, peace.